Welcome to the Bushido Gang. Ladies and gentlemen, how are y'all doing today? It's Attack on Samurott, bringing you a review of the matches that I played in for the Premier League that I was in called the Academy Premier League. So the Academy, which is hosted by Janvad. Basically, he made this Premier League to get newer players into the competitive scene, just to get their names out there. Also get them some experience in Premier League play. So Premier League is kind of like, or Premier League is basically where you're in a league with other players in that league. So you're basically on a team of those players. So I actually got picked by the Flygon Express, and the coaches of that team, or of my team, were Savarus and Vento. So they picked me along with the whole bunch of other players on my team as well. And they were all very capable in their respective tiers. So everybody pretty much was able to support each other in as many ways as possible throughout the whole league, I'd say. So everybody was pretty much there for each other, which again I can appreciate. So for week 1 of the Premier League, I actually had to play against Passy G for DPP OU. Now, when I signed up for the tournament, I did say that DPP OU was one of the metagames I played, and I would say that I'm pretty decent at it, but I'm not great at it. Honestly, I would say that with DPP OU, I'm still learning the metagame. I have a basic knowledge of most of the things in the tier, but it's not really that concrete yet compared to someone like Passy G, who's been playing DPP for who knows how long. So he has a lot more experience than I do. So he was able to play to his advantage, I guess, or to my disadvantage, due to the fact that I don't really know too much about the DPP OU metagame. I only know the basics of it at best. So like I said, I will be talking about all these games from this match going onward. So buckle in, because it's going to be a long vid. But before we get started, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, join my Discord Bushido Gang, and subscribe for some more content on the channel. Also, follow me on my Pokeamino, and check out my Smogon profile. All those links will be down in the description. Is trying to reach my 400 subscriber goal by the end of the year. So I would love it if we can hit that goal in 2 weeks. That would be amazing. Even if we get close enough, I'd be happy regardless. But yeah, so anyways, like I said, we're playing, out for week 1, I was playing against Passy G. So Saf put me up for the first week to play against him. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I didn't really feel comfortable playing DPP. For the first week, I felt very comfortable playing ADV, as ADV is the tier I'm actually a lot more confident in playing in. But I pretty much had to play for DPP, as I think at the time he wanted somebody else to take over ADV for the first week. So I was just like, okay. So I decided to play DPP OU. So the team that my teammates helped me build for this week, it was actually, I think, Blue and John Madden that actually helped me build the team this week. But the team that we brought for this week was an offensive team with a Sub-Roo Zapdos, and also some other cool stuff like Bandit Swampert and Machamp. So a whole lot of power on my team. While Passy, I had no idea what he was going to bring, because the only thing, as much as I saw from his games, including not only this ult, but his main ult as well, he's a very versatile player, so he can play in different kinds of styles. So I didn't really know I didn't really know what to expect from him. So basically, again, we went with this more offensive and aggressive play style for the first week. So let's just dive in and let's talk about the game, shall we? So turn 1, I lead with Skarmory as he leads with Jirachi. So basically, we're gonna trade hazards here at on the first couple turns. So I go for rocks and I get my spike up as well. So I have 2 layers up. He can burn me here, but this Skarmory is meant to be a lead Skarmory and is also like a sash lead as well. So he can do a lot of damage to me with the Jirachi, which he doesn't do yet. But on the bright side, I do get 2 layers up, or I do get more layers up with spikes, which is good. I go into T-Turn now as he can go for a Thunderbolt or even burn me on the switch-in, but he already burned my Skarmory, so I don't think he'd go for a double. So Thunderbolt was the play for him to make there. Goes for the burn there and misses, unfortunately. I go for a Crunch and I don't even kill the Rotom. So this Rotom is very fat. This is the fattest Rotom ever. And it managed to live, which is crazy. But I'm able to knock out the Rotom, and that's going to be gone from there. So now in comes Rachi. So I don't want to stand with Tar against Rachi, because that can mean Iron Head coming down, which it does come down, and it does a lot to me. 50% on that's actually pretty huge. That kind of told me that his Jirachi might be like very attack invested. So he might have been like maybe adamant. I'd assume maybe adamant. But yeah, 50% on Skarmory is just like insane damage, honestly. Especially from a resisted hit. Like 15, like that's quite a lot. So granted, this Skarmory was not bulky at all. This was, like I said, a lead one with hazards, or just with hazard stacking. So basically, its main job was to just get hazards up and then just like phase around. And also, it was meant to be a way to deal with Breloom in case he brought one. Yeah, so yeah, I think I get my spike up on the next turn, but this burn plus their Iron Head damage is really racking up. As you can see, it's bringing me down even further, but I'm able to get all my hazards up, which is actually pretty huge, and that does allow me to get a lot of initiative going. One thing I do have to note is that while we were prepping for Passy, we were looking through some replays, and it didn't seem like Passy really didn't care about hazards too much. So he kind of doesn't really, or at least from what I've seen, he doesn't really run a lot of not phasing, but rapid spinners, Starmie, and all that. He doesn't really run Starmie. So my team and we felt confident enough to just go like full on hazards and not have to worry about whatever he could do or whatever his spinner would be. And if he did have Starmie, then I had Tar in the back to deal with Starmie had he had it, or if he did have it. But yeah, anyways, I bring in Pert here, and Pert is banded like I said before. So in hindsight, I think, well, honestly, it's really hard to make a prediction, because for one, I can't really predict what pass he could have. So my best play was to go for Waterfall, as I do go for it, but then he brings in Latias, and Latias is able to eat the Waterfall so well. So that told me that he was very defensive, and he was probably going to be a support one with like T-Wave and such. So I go T-Tar as he goes for the Reflect, and he does catch that, and he does go for the Reflect as I bring in the T-Tar, which is again like a good play for him anyway, regardless. Crunch does nothing, so I have to just let my T-Tar kind of just bite the bullet. I go for Pursuit for no reason. So yeah, doing no type of damage, and Tar's pretty much gonna die to Dragon Pulse, which is pretty bad, honestly. But like in hindsight, what could I really do with Tar in this position? If I didn't let Tar get burned, then maybe something else could have happened here. But honestly, I had nothing on my team to really let, I couldn't really let Tar. I could afford to let Tar get burned. I think at this point. But maybe I could have just let Skarmory go, and then I could have went into something more offensive to deal with the Rotom. But again, I can't predict what he has, so I just had to go off of getting rid of the Rotom right off bat, because Rotom can be annoying, and removing the Rotom is just like the key anyway. That's what T-Tar's job is to do. So I can't expect everything to or I can't really prepare for everything here. But Lottie getting that Reflect Up is very big, because this means that my Pert can't really do much to him. I go into Pert now, predicting him to switch out on my Draco, which he does do, and he goes Nickel Fable. And now what I do is I go for a Waterfall as he brings in Suicune. So as I said, those hazards up are very huge, and they are definitely helping me a lot. Now, when he brought in the Suicune here on my Waterfall, I probably should have went for Earthquake anyway at this point, but again, I was too fixated on that Latias. But again, even if Latias did come in, all it would do was it would just be the same repeat. He would just reflect up and then recover, or just Dragon Pulse me down to keep me low. So honestly, I don't know if Waterfall was the right play here, but I did go for it anyway. As you know, it dealt with Clefable too. But Earthquake, I think, would have been a much better option here, and I didn't go for it. And because I didn't go for it, I'm gonna get punished here by this Surf, and that's gonna be a crit on my Zapdos, which is huge. Like I said, the Zapdos was actually pretty important for this match. As you can see, Zapdos kind of dealt with most things on his team very well, especially after a sub. After a sub, Zapdos can actually take on most of these mons like pretty well. Thunderbolt can kind of just break through everything, and same with HP Ice. Since his Latias isn't running. I wasn't certain if he was running like fully Spadef or anything, or if he had like a lot of Spadef EVs, but we had potential to kind of break through his own Latias. But yeah, again, my fault. Didn't really take into consideration on what his Suicune would do and everything. I just didn't really play it like as effective. I don't think I was aggressive enough. But yeah, Zapdos is gonna get worn down by that Surf, and I had to keep my Zapdos healthy. In order to try to Thunderbolt through his own Thunderbolt through the Suicune and also through everything else. So, what he does here is he actually goes for the T-Wave as I go for a Roost. So he catches that, and there goes my Zapdos getting Parrot, which is huge. That means that now it's Clefable's gonna be faster than me. In case you didn't know, in Gen 4 and below, I think even in Gen 5 as well, speed is actually cut by 75% instead of it being by 50% in the current generations. So Zapdos is slow as hell. It is very slow. It is slower than everything on this team now, or everything on his team now, which again is very huge. So not much I can really do with my Zapdos, besides try to like Roost up and everything. I go for an HPS in case he wanted to stay with Lottie, but I don't think he really needed to do that. So I go Machamp here, and this is where things go bad. I mean, it already went bad the moment he got the Reflect Up and everything, and also I let Zapdos take so much damage early on, but this is really where things just go sour from here, because the knockoff on my switch into Machamp is very big. Clefable is a Pokemon I don't really know how to play against in this metagame. And also another thing is that Clefable is actually on the rise in DPP OU. It's been on the rise for a while now, but basically the role that it has in the current generations, again Gen 6, 7, and 8, it still has it has in DPP as well. Since Magic Guard allows it to avoid taking status, or avoid getting status, and also avoid hazards and everything. So it's very annoying. It's very annoying. You can T-Wave it, but it can't get paralyzed. Like, you can slow it down and everything, but you can't, it can never get paralyzed there. So, Clefable is a lot more annoying in this generation than I'd say in the current generations. But I think I'm probably like gassing it up too much. It's still very annoying though, don't get me wrong. But here, Clefable is just like a pain to deal with. Especially with my Lumberry getting knocked off. That means that his Jirachi can freely paralyze me. Same with the Lottie or whatever. But he could just freely paralyze me, and then he could just wear me down with the Rachi. So he's gonna let the Suicune go as I go for the Dynamic Punch. So I go for it. He sacks Suicune here, and now he goes into Rachi. He gets the para right there with Body Slam, and now my Machamp is dead because full para right there. As I tried to go for the punch there, I think I might have quaked or punch, but it doesn't matter. My Machamp is dead to sand. So yeah, we're just gonna skip. Body Slams me there. No para there. I go for Waterfall. I do a lot, keep him low, but not enough to kill him. I should have Earthquake there too, but Body Slam comes down again. I'm in torrent range, but I can still break through and Waterfall their Jirachi, even through the para, which is amazing. But Lottie can finish me off now with the Dragon Pulse, and that's gonna be that. And then I make a really bad play. But at the same time, I don't think it really helped me anyway. But I go for a Draco here, I should have went for the Draco, but I tricked it. I tricked because I thought he would go into Clefable. That's why I did it. That's the only reason why I did it. But if it did work out for me, I think it would have been a lot more effective. I think it would have been a lot better in my favor. But I think the reason why he was okay with letting Latias go was probably because he had something else. Like, whatever this Mon was here, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was T-Tar. Maybe it was T-Tar. I think it might have been T-Tar here on this team, but I'm probably very wrong. I don't know what it could have been. I don't know what his last Mon was. He never showed it, but I'm assuming that the reason why he was okay with letting Latias go was because he had something to actually, deal with Latias, which, I mean, he already has in Jirachi and even in, mostly in Jirachi, so I'm assuming that this probably was a T-Tar. So, yeah, if I did Draco the Lottie, he probably would have just, crunched me with the Tar. And I think this Tar might have been like Scarf if it was a Tar on this team. Probably a Scarf Tar. But yeah, he probably would have won here if this was the Tar. So, Draco there, even if I did Draco, again, I would have died to Tar. And that would have been that. But, I go for the trick in case he wanted to go Clefable, but he was free to just, do that anyway. So now for the next, 10 turns, I'm going to try and get a pair on Clefable, but I never get it. As I just try to, wear him down with Thunderbolts, but I'm also wearing him down with his tosses because of my pressure on Zapdos, but it's not going to be enough. And he'll be able to get out of this through a para, which happens pretty late in the game. I think it's, around turn 40 or something like that. So toss again. He's only got 20 of those left now. I do a lot with Thunderbolt, but that's still not going to be enough. It's still not going to be enough. And also because he knocked off my lefties, I'm not going to get the recovery I need off. I have to Roost here again to keep Zapdos healthy. So I'm going to Roost for another couple more turns, but I'm running low on Roost. While he still has, full soft builds. And also, he doesn't really mind this because he has something else. Because wherever this Mon is in the back, it wins anyway. So he could just toss me down. No para yet. But again, I'm still trying to get a pair with Thunderbolt, and he's also trying to get a pair so he can just, finish me off with the next toss. But I don't think he gets it here. I go for the Thunderbolt there. I think here I should have roosted. But I didn't go for it. Because I didn't go for it, I'm going to get fully paralyzed there. And there goes my Zapdos. So Zapdos dies. Go Lottie. I go for a Draco, and the Dragon pulses me and finishes me off, and that's going to be the game. So, yeah. Passy. Again, I don't think this game was a very good start for me to start off this league. Because I really did make some pretty foolish mistakes. Again, for one, not knowing how to deal with Clefable. I think my best option to get knocked off. I feel like letting Lottie get it knocked off was probably the best option. If I'd have to say, I think maybe letting Lottie get knocked off was the better option than not. I think if I did that, then maybe I could get something else going here. That way I could have, removed the Clefable's lefties if possible. And also, I was still faster than his Latias since he was running a defensive one. So I think I had ways around it, but I just didn't really, at the time, know what to expect from Passy. That's really what it came down to. I didn't really know how to play around him and what really to expect from him. So it did not work in my favor at all. I do think that if I played against him, or if I played smarter against him, the game would have been a lot closer than it already is, or than it already was. But I do think that the Pokemon that were deciding in this matchup were definitely Zapdos and Machamp. As you saw, Zapdos almost brought it back here. It almost did. And same with the Machamp. It had I really got to play better around Clefable. I'm still pretty upset about how I played against it. But yeah, I think if I had to let a Mon get knocked off, I really think it should have been either Lottie or Swampert. Probably the latter being Lottie, because again, it still has use outside of being Choice Scarf since his Lottie is slower. So yeah. Didn't play it right, or didn't play it well, but that's gonna be my start for the Premier League. So yeah. Now let's dive into ADV. So ADV is really where I start to shine in this league, and I really get to show off my skills here. But yeah, again, this was still a good game though, but I do think that there are ways I could have played it better here against him. Again, I was able to pressure him a lot with hazards. I was pretty happy about that, but But he was able to still play around it due to the fact he had Clefable, and also due to the fact that he also had like Lottie as well and such. So he had ways to play around hazards, only having like probably 3 mons that actually got affected by it, while everything else really didn't take too much from it. And Clefable just being immune in general to everything. So yeah, I guess next time I should just focus on the mon that isn't like the most useful, or the mon that can still function without an item. Like I said, Lottie still could have functioned without its choice scarf. So I should have just done that instead, but didn't do it, and that kind of just threw everything off. Like if he did knock off, or let's actually think about this. If I did let Latias get knocked off, what would he do after that play? Would he switch, or would he just go for or would he knock off again? Or if he had T-Wave, or if the Clefable had like T-Wave, would he just go for it? I don't know the full set on this kind of spread, or on this kind of set here. I know so far they like to run knockoff toss and soft boil. That's like the kind of Clefable that can just disrupt other teams. That's its job on teams like these, like this kind of balanced kind of team here. But I never know what the last move is. Sometimes it's like T-Wave, sometimes it could be rocks. But he was clearly rocks on this, and an offensive Jirachi at that. So I really don't know. What he was, or what this last move was on this. But if Passy sees the vid, maybe he'll tell me, but he probably won't. All right, I'm done talking about this game. Let's move on to ADV. So ADV. All right. So after 2 weeks, after 2 weeks I didn't get to play. 2 weeks after the match with Passy, I didn't play. So fast forward, it's week 4 of the Premier League, and I'm playing against Theo for ADV. Now, like I said, this is really where I start to shine in this Premier League. So for one, I didn't really know too much about Theo. Besides that, he liked to run Calm Mind offense, especially with Suicune. He liked Suicune a lot. So the way how me and the team were able to build around him for this week, I think we just went like a straight up offensive team. There was some very cool stuff on the team, like Snorlax, for example. Snorlax actually went insane for this week. And some other cool stuff as well. I know we definitely had Zapdos for this week. It was Zapdos, Lax, and some other offense. We also had an Arrow on the team, so it was just like, your standard kind of offensive team. Excuse me, but excuse me again, but yeah. I believe that the lead that I had for this match was actually Zapdos' lead, and Zapdos' lead is actually pretty good in ADV, and you can pressure a lot of opposing leads. Again, you got your Thunderbolts and everything. You got your T-Waves to paralyze things. You can just baton pass out in case you don't like the leads you're facing. You could also like Toxic if you're running Toxic. Like Zapdos can do a lot of things in ADV, and that makes it one of like the more splashable mons in the metagame. So yeah, again, I'm going a little bit off topic about that, but let's actually focus about this match. So, for one, Theo, he's a member of the I forgot to mention that Passy was a member of the Galar Zygardes for week 1, of course, and then for week 4 we played against the move, I think. No, the move was a Nallor. It was Nalorium. I'm trying to remember who Theo played for. I actually can't remember. You know what? I'm gonna cheat. Let's cheat. Okay, he played for I forgot who he played for. Let's see. He played for week 4. He played for the Cantonia Marowaks. Okay, so if I go back to Discord just to look at that, please, I apologize for that. But I was more focused on the players. I care about the teams and everything, but please forgive me if I do forget what team you played for. But But yeah, let's actually talk about this game. Also, let me switch to the B2. Let's get something that's a little bit more intense. Let's go with this one. I like this beat from or I like this theme from Pokemon Emerald. Let's play this. All right, I'll also loop it too. All right, let's loop this right here. All right, hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. All right. So here we go. So let's talk about this match. So turn 1, he leads with Zapdos as I lead with my own Zapdos. Goes for a T-Wave here. As I can paralyze his Zapdos, he goes for a Tonstic on me. Tonstic is going to wear me down a little bit, but I don't really mind that. I can go Lax here as he can go for a Tonstic and miss. Even if he did get the Tonstic off. Also, let me wear this. Let me bring this down a little bit. It's kind of loud. Okay, wait. Okay, there we go. Alright. So, even if he did get the Tonstic off, it didn't matter because of my Lax's immunity. So, I'm pretty much free to, you know, do whatever I want here, as my Lax is going to be pretty threatening to his team. Now, in this position, where he's on with, or where his Zapdos is in on my Lax, he doesn't really want to take a Body Slam or whatever I could go for. Potentially, you know, Body Slam, of course. So, what I do is that I actually take advantage of his switching. I'm expecting him to go into like some Steel or some Rock to take on the normal move. So I go for a Focus Punch on the switching. And long and behold, he goes Metagross, and guess what? Look at that damage. Oh my god, that damage is actually pretty big. Because for one, it forces him to boom here, which he does go for. He booms. In case, like, I did this in case he wanted to, in case he wanted to mash, if he wanted, like, in case he wanted to mash or something. But boom just made the most sense in the position he was in. So I let my Zapdos go. And, honestly, Zapdos did enough. But also, I didn't really have a good switching anyway, so I was okay with letting Zapdos take the boom there. So now what I can do is go back and relax as he brings in Ments. He goes for a Brick Break, and it does nothing. Well, actually, it does a pretty good chunk, but it's not enough to really make me be afraid of the Ments because he's actually mixed Ments. And we get a Body Slam off, and we get a parry right there. So Lax is just doing like work right now. Again, first the crit on the Metagross, which is huge, and then we go into meta on the Dragon Claw switching. Now what I can do is go for a mash here, as I do get the mash off, and I do get a little bit of chip on the pert, but not too much. Just judging by that damage, that's a very defensive pert, so he's probably going to be like, you know, some kind of mono pert, or just either a, like a 3 attacking pert with protect. So let's see what happens here. I go for the HP Grass, which will force him out. Because he doesn't want to take HP Grass from this percentage. So he's going to go into the Jirachi as I go for it again in case he wanted to stay in. But he didn't go for that. Also, I want to mention, like, you know, just now, is that this Metagross right here is actually going to be pretty important. Because this Metagross is actually a Suit Gross. So we can actually, like, pursue whatever we need to. And that's just going to come into play a little bit later in the match. Which, again, I will mention once we get there. But yeah, this Jirachi, I'm gonna say it right now, is actually a pain in the ass for my team. I have to go Clado here, so he can go for a Fire Punch. He doesn't get the bird yet, which is still very good for me. So I can go for an Earthquake here as he goes into Zapdos to catch the Earthquake, which is a good play on this part to you know, catch that. I go into Lax here as he can go for a Thunderbolt or whatever, but he's gonna get paralyzed there. I'm pretty sure he went for Tonstic again. Either Tonstic or he was Rest. Honestly, if Zapdos is toxic, most of the time they're going to be like some bulky variant, so he might have been Rest on this. So that probably mattered. Anyways, Ments is back to get the Intimidate drop on me. I go for a Body Slam again. We're still doing a lot even with the Intimidate drop. So this damage is definitely going to help me a lot. I go for the Body Slam again, and he gets paralyzed there. So Lax is able to 1v1 the Ments, which is, you know, pretty huge. Go for a Body Slam here on this Jirachi switch-in, and Jirachi does not get paralyzed here yet, but it will a little bit later in the match, so I will, you know, spoil that for you guys. I go into Clado here on the next Fire Punch, because I have no other Fire Punch switch-in on my team, so I have to let it take the hit. Goes for it again, no burn there yet, but I go for an Earthquake, and it does a really good chunk, but this Jirachi is going to reveal the Wish, and Wish Jirachi is also known as the Ostarachi. It's basically a very bulky variant of Jirachi that's meant to be support for the team. So it Wish passes it can Wish pass into all of these mons right here. Of course, he shows Protect here, as he can afford to, as he can, you know, protect from the Earthquake and get back to around 60% or a little over 60%. So I go for the Earthquake again. But again, he goes in the Mence there to take the Earthquake. Now what I have to do is go for a Psychic, as he can just, predict me and then go into Jirachi to catch the Psychic, and that does no type of damage, as my Claydol doesn't really have a lot of investment in special attack anyway. So Fire Punch comes down, he finally gets the burn there, I go for an Earthquake, and it does 17%, so this is very, very low damage. So this Jirachi is becoming more and more of an issue. So my only way to really break through this Jirachi is to try and get a para with the Lax here. So I have to try and, like, go with that, or make that play. So I go Cloister here, or that's what I'm going to eventually have to do, but I have to try and wear him down with a Cloister first. So what I can do here is go for a Spike, and, try and wear down not only the Jirachi later, but also to wear down his Pert, and whatever else he had that was grounded. So Surf does no type of damage, it only does like 17%, so again, it's not a lot, but at least it's something to keep him low. So I get 2 layers up now, which is still pretty good for me. Goes for the Body Slam to try and get the para, but he's still not getting it. I'm going to go for the Surf again. I'm do 20% this time. Still not enough, but it's still something. He finally gets the para there. He wishes here, I believe. Yeah, he wishes there. I go for a Surf again, doing, 18%. But now what he could do is just protect here or just go for Fire Punch. As he does go for the Fire Punch, doing 29% to me. So I'm still doing a lot more. I have to Boom here with Cloister, because Cloister can't really do much else. And like I said, I don't really need to, keep this thing around, because for one, the Mence is already like worn down to the point where I can just Body Slam it and kill it off with Lax. And also I do have Metagross as well, which can still outspeed it. So I was okay with booming here. Again, Cloister got 2 spikes up, and this boom damage will actually put me like put me up a little bit. So now what I have to do is go Arrow here, as that'll force him to go into Pert, where he can just protect here. I go for the sub here, just to see what else he'd do. So he does protect there, obviously. So now all I have to do, now what I can do is go for an Earthquake to get some damage on him. So as you saw, the spikes came down, doing a decent percentage to him, and also pair with the Earthquake. That's gonna do around 30%. So, or a little bit above 30%. So so yeah, that's helping me a little bit, but it's not like too much. As he can still, recover off that damage, especially with protecting too. So he protects there to get some more health back. And now I have to try the Earthquake again to keep him even lower. So he's at 50%. Now he can Surf here to break my sub. And now what I have to do is switch out here. And I go into Lax here as he goes for the Earthquake on the switch. And so that was a good plan to start going for that. I honestly thought he'd protect there, to get more health back. But he decided to go aggro and get some damage on Lax, which again, I can respect. So what I have to do here is go for a Body Slam as he protects you to get some more health back. So when he comes back, he'll be at 48% because of the spike. But honestly, I don't really mind that too much. Jirachi comes in, takes some spike damage. I go for a Body Slam on the switching, and I get a para as well. So this is huge. This is huge because, for one, the Jirachi's slower, which means that he's not going to get his wish off he's not going to get his wish off like efficiently like he did before. And also another thing is that if he gets if he tries to wish and he gets paralyzed on his protect the turn after, then we still have a pretty good shot to deal with the Jirachi a lot more effectively. So yeah, that para was huge. Now we can pretty much deal with the Jirachi a lot better here. Again, with not only Lax, but also with Arrow too. So now what I could deal with my Lax is that since he's paralyzed, I feel like Focus Punch is the best option to go for, as not only does it cover Jirachi, but it covers everything else. He gets paralyzed there, and we get a big-ass crit on the Jirachi. So this is just insane. A crit on Metagross and a crit on Jirachi is just too much for Theo to really deal with. So in terms of like ways he can play around the Snorlax now, he still has his own Pert. He also still has the secret Mon right here, which I will say is going to be a T-Tar. So T-Tar comes in here, and what I do is that I expected him to be some kind of like DD-Tar. Again, just based off his team, I felt like he was running a more offensive, or more like a mixed offense team. But again, the more I look at the team, it's definitely not that, or it doesn't really show that. It's probably more like a probably balance, I'd say. Because I'm assuming that the Zapdos was most likely like a Rest Zapdos with Toxic and such, and the Pert, being defensive to take on the physical hits and everything, and then Jirachi to be the Wish supporter. So it was just a very bulky team. So the Tar being in here again, I had a feeling he might have been like some kind of sweeping Tar. So I wanted to go for the Focus Punch in case he wanted to DD here, which honestly I don't think it really mattered too much. I probably should just went for Body Slam anyway, and it still would have helped me. But I go for the punch, but it doesn't, you know, connect. So I'm just like, you know what, screw it. I'll let Lax go. Lax do what he need to do. I can pretty much win now with the combination of Arrow, Meta, and Claydol at this point. So I can knock out the Tar with a crit again. Now I go into Meta here, as this will force him to, as I can actually, you know, like, well, I only did this in case he wanted to, or just see what else he could go for, but I go Claydol there, as he goes for the Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt on my Meta. So now what I can do here is I can actually go for a Boom, or I could Psychic to catch the Ments, in case he wanted to predict my my Boom. So I think he tried to predict my Boom and tried to sack the Ments off, but nah, I'm not going to let him do it yet. I'm actually going to save the Claydol to Boom on something else to get more damage, or to get a little bit more damage off. So in comes Pert, as he goes for the Protect there to scout for the Boom, but I don't go for it yet. I'm going to wait, and now I go for it, as for one, I'm faster than him, and two, I can finally get the Boom off and keep him low enough. Granted, it's not like a lot. 24% is definitely nothing like crazy, but it's something. The Meta, or the Pert, is going to, you know, like, protect again on my Meta. I go for the HP Grass. And now what I do here is that since he's going to switch out anyway, I go for the Pursuit, get a little bit more damage on the Pert, and now he brings in the Zapdos, so I can Boom on the Zapdos. And at this point, it's looking like Arrow can just win here, as I can just double S through him. So, yeah. Boom the Zap. Pert's going to be taken down by the spike damage, but he can still protect to get back to around 20%. And if he gets the double protect as well, then he can still come back here. He's at 20% right now. He goes for the double. He gets the 27% from lefties, or about 27%. So now it comes down to whether or not Earthquake or Double Edge will kill. So I'm actually going to show you the calc right now, just, you know, like, educate you guys on the calc on defensive Pert. So defensive Pert, so let's see, Swampert versus Aerodactyl. So usually Aerodactyl, if it's banded in this case, it does a lot. Like, Double Edge is the best play I can make. But since I'm not banded, this does, well, one, Earthquake does 18 to 22%, and at the range he's at, which I will go back to, at the range that Theo's at, he's at 27%. So Earthquake will not kill him. Yeah, Earthquake would not kill him. Double Edge does 22 to 26%. So I was never gonna kill him if I didn't get my yeah, I was never gonna kill him at that range. But if I was banded, I had a pretty good shot actually. But this Arrow is not banded, which honestly was the better option to not be banded, because we could switch up our moves and everything. And also, I wanted Arrow to be the late game cleaner. That was the main goal of this team. So yeah, like I said, we can't kill the Pert from this range. So I have to keep my sub up, and I have to just, you know, make sure that we can Double Edge him down and keep him low enough. So I go for the Double Edge here. I don't kill him. He's still able to live because Pert is fat as hell, but he is still going to fall to the Double Edge, and that is going to be that. So, so yeah, that ends the match. He doesn't get the double there, and that's that. Again, even if he did, he still would have died to the Double Edge at that range, because he was at 20. He was going to be at 20% from that. So Double Edge still would have killed. But yeah, that is going to cover the Week 4 match. So it was a very tough match. It was very tough. Granted, I did get very lucky. I got insanely lucky with the Snorlax, with not only the crit, with the crit on the Meta, the Rachi, and the Tar. Like, all that mattered. All of that mattered so much. Especially on the Jirachi. The Jirachi, it mattered like so much there. Because that Jirachi, again, being Ostarachi, it can take hits very, very well. Even some focus punches it can take very well. But unfortunately did not take that one well. Now let's actually look at some damage. Like, look at the damage on this thing. So let's go to Jirachi sets. So Jirachi, okay, unfortunately they don't have the Ostarachi set. Which I don't know why they don't have it here. Maybe Uber Calm Mind. Well, whatever. Let's just assume something like this. Which again, most Ostarachis do have like some investment like this. So as you can see, Focus Punch does 25 to 30%. While this Lax right here isn't, like, you know, as invested as the one I actually had in the game. I think mine had a little bit more attack investment, but what you need to notice is that defensive Jirachi can take Focus Punches very well. Like, very, very well. Now with the crit, it does 51 to 61%. Now if we go back to the damage on that Jirachi, so let's go back to turn. It was on turn 38. So turn 38. We see that the Jirachi. Oh yeah, it died to 73. But again, I really don't remember what the EV spread was on Astarachi. But so what you need to know is how important that crit was. Man, I really wish I could find the Astarachi set. But again, I don't know it by heart. But again, the damage on that is still like pretty insane. So I'm gonna assume that his investment was somewhere around here, maybe a little bit lower. He might have had maybe less HP. Let's actually lower the defense a little bit. Let's go like 180. Actually, let's go like 160, 48, 52 maybe, 56. So again, 73 with the crit. That's still like powerful. Maybe he might have been. No, I don't think he was Jolly, or not Jolly, like Mix or something. No way. So, again, I really apologize. I don't know the Astarachi set off the back of my head, but still, that Focus Punch crit mattered so much because again, it did allow me to break through him, with again these guys here. If I didn't get that crit, well, it would have been a different story here. I do think I still would have broken through with Arrow anyway. I still think I would have broken through with Arrow anyway, had this didn't happen. Because even if I didn't get a crit, it still would have done a lot of damage regardless. And in his position, let's say Focus Punch did like around. Let's say it did around this percentage. Maybe a little bit more than that. I really think I gave this thing more attack. Let's go like 140 or 156, 160 actually, like 168. Again, assuming his Astarachi was somewhere around this percentage or somewhere around this investment or EVs or something like that. Definitely, I think I'd have more than that. Probably like 180 or 192. But yeah, still 27 to 33%. Still would have done a lot, and I still had a potential to boom here anyway. So if I did, Focus Punch in the boom, then it still would have been enough to deal with him. In hindsight, so I don't think the crit mattered too much, or the crit definitely mattered a lot. But even if I didn't get the crit off, he still would have been forced into a position to where he'd have to play around self-destruct, and I don't think he wanted to play around that too much, unless he had to sack something, which I don't think he really could have afforded anything to sack at this point. So yeah, that's what I think. But still, that crit mattered a ton. There. So yeah, again, both crits mattered a lot, especially on the Metagross there too. And the Metagross, I'm assuming, might have been like pretty defensive to still take the Focus Punch very well like that, taking it like at 79 or taking 79% from it. So he probably was like a protect one too, probably protect Metagross, most likely. But yeah, this team was very bulky. Gotta say it was very bulky. He definitely had ways to still like break through my team had those crits not happened. But yeah, that covers the Theo game. So yeah, let's move on to game number 3. Let me also switch to the beat as well. Let's go with this one. All right, so game number 3. This was against Spatula. So Spatula, I actually know him from Blunder's old Discord. I actually met him in that Discord. So I was very surprised to see him play ADV, just because I didn't really know like what to expect from him. So again, I was assuming that he would play like Sun and Moon for his team, but ADV was definitely something I didn't expect. So yeah, for this week, the way how me and my team prepared for this week, we just decided to go offense again. And I think we went with a double electric core for this week. I'm taking inspiration from McMegan's double electric core with sub. I think it was sub Raikou. Or no, it was just Toxic Raikou. It was like Toxic Raikou with the or modest Toxic Raikou with Zapdos as well. So and he also had some trappers too, like Doug and Porygon. Porygon being like a semi-trapper because it can also trap opposing Dougs, and also Doug can deal with Blissey, which Electrics kind of struggle with. So having Doug to deal with Blissey was the main prerogative for this week. Or was the main thing we wanted. Well, not one of the main things we wanted to do, but just something to deal with Blissey in case Spatula did bring it. But again, had no idea what to expect from him. So this one was kind of blind, but we decided to go offense, like I said, running the double electric core. So let's dive in and let's talk about this match. So turn 1, he leaves with Metagross as I lead with Raikou. I go for the sub here as he brings in Blissey. So now what I can do is Toxic the Blissey to keep it low. Get him Toxic right there. Goes into Tar on the Toxic. So now he's going to allow me to not only Toxic him, but also to Thunderbolt through him too. So Toxic is going to bring him down a little bit. And now we can Thunderbolt through him. And it's going to do a lot of damage to that Tar. So the Tar, just judging by how much Thunderbolt did, he might have been like some kind of mixed Tar. Maybe like a UD Tar if anything. So Thunderbolt, again, just from that damage, kind of shows what kind of Tar he was. So now what I can do is just Thunderbolt here again, as he actually goes into the Metagross here on the next Thunderbolt. Also, the Tar's getting worn down a lot. But yeah, I don't know why he did this, because he died. The crit definitely mattered a lot, though. I will defend that. The crit definitely mattered there. Even if we didn't get a crit there, that still did a lot, and he had to switch into Blissey again. So I really don't know why he went Metagross there. I honestly think he should have went Blissey. In his position, I would have always went Blissey there on Thunderbolt, no matter what. No matter what he did, I think Blissey was the better option here. But he threw out the Metagross, which is pretty big for him. And comes the Arrow, as I can go into my one resist on my team, being Porygon. So Porygon can take whatever hit this Arrow goes for. I can take an Earthquake, I can take a Rock Slide, I can take whatever this Arrow Arrow goes for. So now what I can do is I can go for a Recover to keep my Porygon healthy as he brings in the Pert here. So now what I can do is I can go for a Toxic to keep the Pert low, as he allows me to get the Toxic off. He Toxics back my my Porygon, which I don't really care about too much, because if I get Pory on Blissey, then I can trace the Natural Cure and I can remove the Toxic anyway. Blissey comes in and it takes the Ice Beam on the switch in, so it doesn't really do too much. I actually go for the Toxic here just to see what else he go for, and he actually goes for the Sink here in case I switch, but I don't need to switch here. So I can just keep my Porygon in here pretty safely, as he can, try to, do whatever. I bring in the Doug here as he goes for the Sing and Miss. Now, in hindsight, I think that was a very crazy play from Spatula. I don't know if I really agree with it. I mean, it was a good play though. It was still a good play. Because he's able to because I mean, he still tried to catch me with the Sing. But yeah, if he did get the Sing off there, this would have been a much different game that we'd be having right now. Definitely would be a much different game. But because he missed there, my Dugtrio can pretty much just beat him down. So I beat up the Blissey. So we hit him with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, doing a lot, because I think it's always weird to talk about beat up, but it goes by the attack set, I think. Like the base attack of the Mons. So again, it goes by Doug's base attack, goes by Porygon's base attack, also Raikou's, Metagross's, Zapdos's, and even Salamence's. So yeah, beat up comes down on the Blissey, and it's able to pretty much like wear it down, and also be lift the Ice Beam as well, since this Dugtrio is EV to live Ice Beam from Blissey. We can go Metagross here in case you want to go for Rock Slide or Earthquake, but he goes for the Earthquake right there with the Arrow. I get to Protect here to see what else his Arrow would go for, and we scout to see that he's banded and he keeps going for Earthquake. So now what I can do is go into Zapdos here, as Zapdos has a lot of initiative going, because the Tar is pretty much like dead because we can just Thunderbolt it right now. And also, Pert is Toxic, which is still very huge for us, because that means that Zapdos is free to just, HP Grass this if need be. And I do believe that I just make the safe play, go for Thunderbolt. I don't need to go for HP Grass at any point. Not yet anyway. But yeah, he goes in the Pert there on the Thunderbolt, again making the the smart play to just take the hit. We go for the HP grass and we barely kill it. So he goes for the Tonic there, as he can just die to Tonic now. But now, when my Zapdos getting, poisoned, I go for the agility here. I go for the agility because I actually want to start passing my speed into either Metagross or into Raikou, whatever I need to at this point. Like either one was still good for me. Also, Zapdos on its own can still just sweep anyway. Because the last mon he has is not something that can take on Zapdos at all. So yeah, the Taunt comes down. In comes Tar, we can Thunderbolt him, but we just decide to pass as I bring in the Tar, or as I bring in Meta on the Ice Beam from Tar, and we're able to just eat the hit. We outspeed this thing. We also outspeed the arrow as well. And now he brings in the Skarmory, as what I can do here is go back into Zapdos in case he want to go for Drill Peck or whatever. He goes for the HP Ground instead. We catch him on that. We go for the Baton Pass in case he wants to go for like Drill Peck or something. We do just that. Go right in the Raikou. And now we can just Thunderbolt through him, and that's going to be the game. Yep, that is just going to be the game. His arrow was forced to go for Rock Slide or Earthquake. Probably Rock Slide at this point, because Rock Slide still has a chance to flinch things. So I do believe he went for it, and I decided to go into Meta anyway, since Meta can take the Rock Slide very well. And that is going to be the game. So yeah, I do think that, that Spatula made some very questionable plays. I think he could have played it a lot better here, especially with his Metagross. I don't know what kind of Metagross he was at all, but the fact that he was lead Metagross maybe could mean that he might have been like banded, or maybe some kind of mixed variant. But most of the time, if it's lead Metagross, it's probably gonna be banded. So yeah, again, it didn't really work too well in his favor. But yeah, he definitely made some very questionable plays. He was not very prepared for this matchup, I'd say. But again, I do think that if he did get the Sting on my Dotrio, things would have went a little bit more differently. I don't think I would have dealt with the Blissey as easily. But I still had, like some other outs to deal with Blissey. Had, the Sting that came down. I still had the Metagross in the back to still deal with it. Granted, he would have tried to pivot around between Blissey between Blissey and Skarmory. He also could have got a Spike Up as well. So this game could have been different. It could have been very different had this thing came down on me, on my Dotrio. But unfortunately, that did not happen for Spatula. I also could have just stayed in with Porygon if I wanted to and just kept recovering and just tried to wear him down to the point where we had to force him to soft boiled. I could have done that as well. Honestly, that would have been a much better play. To wear down this Blissey even more. Damn, that actually would have been a good play too. But so I think regardless, I'm happy about how I played this match. And Spatula, I think he played the best he could. I do think he'll get better from this matchup though. I do think he'll get better from this match. But yeah, he has to learn, or he should now realize like what mons he should go into. Again, I think he should have played Blissey a lot better here. That's all I got to say. Anyways, let's dive into the next match. The next match we have is against Nilorium. So Nilorium is another very good ADV player. He also plays other metas as well. But again, I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, for this week, I wasn't really sure, or I guess like when me and the team were building for this week, we weren't really sure of like what Nilorium could be bringing. Nilorium or Nowler is a very like versatile player as well, so he could run whatever he wants for real. Kind of like Passy in a way, just because like he's not limited into what he could really run. But I think the team he was more known to be using was, I think, some kind of Calm Mind spam team. So I think for this week, we brought Breloom. Again, looking at his stats and everything, it looked like Breloom was a mon he struggles with a lot. So Breloom felt like the best option for this week. So we went Breloom. So turn 1, he leads with Lax and we lead Breloom. So this is bad for him because, you know what? I regret this play. I should have focus punched. I actually regret this play. I should have focus punched. The fact he let Lax there. I should have just said, fuck it, I'm gonna punch something. I should have done it. But I'm not crazy enough to do that turn 1. I'm not crazy enough to do a turn 1, but I should have done it. That actually would have been a hard play. That would have been such a hard play. Because for one, if I did mash and if I did go for the focus punch, then one, meta could have been worn down even further to the point where I could just mock punch it. Plus, it would have put it would have put a lot more things on his team in jeopardy. But he decides to let me spore this, but he's actually Lum on this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The fact he's Lum kind of tells me that he might have been some agility set. But yeah, he's able to absorb the sleep there. And now what I can do is go for the Lumbear, is go for the Spore again. Or actually, no, I sub here. So I sub here in case he want to go for whatever. So he does go for the mash there on my sub. So I have to Spore him again as I do get the Spore off here. And now what I do is I go for the Focus Punch on the switch in. So I go for it here as he's forced to go into something else to take the hit. Goes Gyarados, and watch this shit. Damn. Yeah, let's talk about this. let's talk about this for a minute. Okay, so let's do some calcing. Let's do some calcing on Gyarados right now. So Breloom versus Gyarados. So Gyarados in ADV is pretty weird. I'm gonna say it right now. It's very weird. First, let's talk about the crit. Normally Focus Punch after the -1 does 31 to 37%. Now with a crit on top of that, yeah, that shit makes no sense, right? That shit makes no sense. It makes no sense. This shit kills it. Like, he basically died. He basically died there to the crit. Like, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. Now, how could he play around this crit, right? Let's see how he could play around this crit. Well, okay, how could Nilorian play around this crit? Or I mean, if he didn't get crit, how would he play around it? Well, if it did 31 to 37%, his only option here would be to go for DD, or he could go for the HP Flying, or if he did have it, or HP Rock if he had that. Like either one. Because Gyarados can run either HP Flying or HP Rock, and honestly, like Gyarados can be a very threatening sweeper, kind of like Salamence as well. But yeah, Gyarados though, I feel like his only option at that point was, or his only option if Focus Punch did do like 37% at most, his only option would have been to DD if he had it. Which again, I'm assuming he did have it just based off his team structure. Because it just seems to be a very offensive build. So if he was DD Gyarados, he would have went for it. Or he would have went for the DD as I went for the Focus Punch, and I would have been forced to switch out and go into something else to take the hit. So let's say he did go for the DD. If he did go for the DD, then he would have been forced to go for HP Flying, or he would have went for Double Edge on the switch in after the DD. So my only switch in for Gyarados was Zapdos. So I had to go Zapdos here. So I mean, if he did go for the DD after my Focus Punch, then I had to go Zapdos to take the hit. And my Zapdos, the one that was built for this week, I actually managed to find the EVs for it. But this Zapdos here could have taken whatever hit this Gyarados was going for, even at +1. At +1, Gyarados does, with Double Edge it does 63 to 74%. So at +1, I still would have taken the hit. HP Flying does nothing, but if he's HP Rock, which is what some Gyarados choose to run, to deal with Zapdos and other flying types in the meta, HP Rock does 74 to 87%. So I would have lit the hit regardless of what he did, with this Gyarados here. So unfortunately, this did not go in his favor, but if this did go in his favor, I had outs for it. So I get to Mach Punch the Gyarados and I get to kill it, which is hilarious, but But yeah, Gyarados is dead. Now it comes Pert, as what I can do here is go into my own Swampert as he goes for an Earthquake there and gets a crit on me. So that's revenge for the Focus Punch, which I'll take. That's fine. Goes for the Garrett. Just go for I can't talk. Goes for the Hydro Pump there on my Pert. Unfortunately he misses there, so he misses that. But still, just judging by, well, I mean, it's not really too much to go off of, but we're actually running a Mono Pert, by the way. So Mono Pert is able to take the Earthquake, or I mean, we can take Earthquake, very well, as long as, you know, we don't get crit, as long as we don't get crit by it. But we get the Toxic off on the Pert, which is very huge. Goes into Mag there as we go for the Protect there, just to see what else he go for. But we get the Double Protect off to keep Pert as healthy as possible. So now what we can do here is go into Breloom, as he is going to go for the HP Grass again. Does actually 24% to me, which is still a pretty good chunk, by the way. So now what I can do here is that I actually try to go for a sub here because I want to be able to, you know, like avoid the T-Wave and whatever. But unfortunately that does not happen. We have to take the T-Wave. But this thing under a sub is dangerous. Like I've said before, this shit under a sub can punch everything and not care. So I'm going for it. But unfortunately, we get fully paralyzed. But we can still go for the punch anyway, regardless, because punch will still do a lot to the Pert. So he has to Ice Beam here and break my sub. So he does do it. We actually managed to land it, and we kill off the Pert, which is pretty huge. In comes Lax here. As what I can do here is go into Gengar on whatever this does. He goes for the frustration there. I can burn this thing now. So we burn the Lax. He goes for the Shadow Ball. It still does a lot even after the burn. But we can still take another hit. Which is still very good. We go into Pert here on the next Shadow Ball, does like 10% to us. So now what I can do is just surf him down, keep him low. As he's forced to go into Mag, or he just stays in here to take the hit anyway. Goes for the frustration again, doing no type of damage to me. So I can still go for the surf to still keep him low enough. Just keep wearing him down, just keep chipping him down. He goes in the Mag on the surf, doing 50%. So he's going to try to go for the HP Grass again, but we have our switch in being Gengar. So we go Gengar here on the next HP Grass, doing 21%. We actually, I think this set had Thunderbolt and Ice Punch. So this set was running a this was a Bolt Beam Gar with some with a little bit of attack investment for Boom, so that we can actually get, you know, like max damage or get a lot of damage off with a Boom. I mean, with an invested Boom. But he's not gonna want to stay in here in case I have Fire Punch. So I go for the Thunderbolt anyway, keep him low. So Lax is still getting lowered, but Shadow Ball can still kill us from this range actually. So I have to switch out here and go into meta on the next Shadow Ball, as it does no type of damage to my Metagross. This Metagross is actually pretty bulky too, so we can take whatever this goes for too. We can go for the Earthquake here or mash it. So we mash it, we kill off we kill that off. In comes Mag, as he can go for a T-Wave or Thunderbolt me. So he does T-Wave here because he wants to get the para there, but unfortunately he does not get it. We get the Earthquake that, kill it off. Now in comes the Tar, which is a DD Tar, I think. So I have to go for the mash here. As he does go for the DD, we get to mash it, and we can actually still live the hit even after a +1 Earthquake. So we managed to live it. We don't get paralyzed, and we kill off the Tar, and that is going to be that. In comes the Meta, who's still paralyzed or still slept. We go Tar here. Honestly, this was a very bad play. Don't do what I did. Please don't. It's honestly, I should have just went Pert here, because he was definitely an agility Metagross. And agility Metagross can really get walled by Pert. So unless he actually got HP Grass, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did have it. But I'm assuming he probably didn't have it. But yeah, don't ever do what I did here. Just like, because if I missed there and he went for agility and then just mashed up, or then just, you know, like mashed there, then, you know, things would have went differently. But we get a crit Fire Blast for our troubles. This game was ridiculous on so many levels. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, regardless of what happened here, I do think this game still would have been, I think it still would have been close without the hacks. I think it would have been a lot closer without the hacks, honestly. But I think matchup wise, I still had a pretty good advantage against him because, you know, I got the Loom on me, and Loom can just really body shit. Like, I'm not trying to say like Loom is like great and I would always win with Loom, but I'm just saying that it's just a good mon in general. There's just so much you get out of it. So I do think that regardless of the crits, I still could have broken through his team. That's what I felt. So yeah. Um yeah, that pretty much covers this match. Not much else to really say about it. I do think that despite I really don't know what to say about despite the hacks, because I mean he had like the most amount of damage he was trying to do was with the was with Pert and Lax. He couldn't really do much else, because we shut him down with Loom early, like very early. Again, as you saw, like Loom kills everything on his team. This shit is so stupid, man. This shit is so damn stupid. But yeah. Again, what I did with Tar when I fire blasted the Metagross, I really didn't need to do that. I honestly should have just went Pert and I should have just surfed him, because again, the meta probably didn't have agility, so I probably didn't have HP Grass. So this defensive Pert would have still broken through him, and his only play would have been a boom anyway. So yeah. But a lot of things come down to hacks though, or I mean, well, not hacks. But a lot of things that come down to luck, I'd say. Also the Tar. I got to talk about the Tar. If the Tar was DD, don't know if it had HP Grass. Most likely it did. If he did have it, I still think Pert would have dealt with it anyway. Also, like, if we didn't get the parrot, or I mean, if we, we got the mash there, we got the mash off, but if he did still get the earthquake off and we got paralyzed there, on the following earthquake, if we did get paralyzed there, I still had, Breloom to Mach Punch him. Granted, I would have had to play off of not getting paralyzed, but I also had Pert as well, so ways to play around it. Still had ways to play around it. So the team that we built for this week, it was very prepared for what he could have brought. And luckily he didn't bring Suicune, which we had prepared for, and whatnot. But yeah. Alright, so that covers the match for week 6, and this was actually by the move. And also I forgot to mention that the Spatulus team was the Phantom Trope. So far in the league, at this point we were in a pretty positive spot, but we had to win the following week. The following week being the last week of the of this league. And basically, if we had a good differential, then we have a spot in making the playoffs. So basically, the following week, after this match, was the week that kind of determined where our team would go. So yeah, switch the beat real quick, and we're gonna go with something. Let's go with Let's go with. Let's see if I can find the beat. Let's see, where is it at? Trying to find the Yu Yu Hakusho one. You know what? Let's find something else. Let's see. Where is that beat at? You know what? Let's use this one. All right. So, like I said, this match right here, this is against my boy Watermess, aka Hines, aka one of the goats of ADV. So it's kind of funny, you know. It's actually very funny that I actually get to fight Mess as my last opponent for this league. Mess has been one of the more influential people to me for playing ADV. Definitely a great player that knows the ins and outs of ADV. I had no idea how to prepare for him, and neither did my team. Because he's a very versatile player. Again, being on the same level as Passy G. So he could bring whatever he wants. Honestly, he could bring Calm Mind Spam, he could bring Boom Offense, he could bring TSS, whatever he wants. He'll probably still do fine with it. So this week, I decided to go with something pretty simple. We're still going offense, but I'm going with Jolt Spike. It felt kind of weird to go Jolt Spike against him because Jolt Spike was actually the first playstyle that Mess told me about. So I just felt like, hey, might as well bring that team against him. Not the exact team, obviously, but I just had to make some adjustments to that team. And my teammates were pretty satisfied with it. They also like helped me to like try to like fix it up a little bit. But I do want to say that the match that we had here was kind of a time crunch, or on time crunch, whatever. Same meaning. Basically, we both didn't have a lot of time. I actually wanted to play him on the weekend, but instead, I had to play him during the week, and I had to play him pretty early during the week. So we played on Wednesday, I think, of this day. So the 2nd of December. I think that was a Wednesday. But yeah, I had to play him then. Because he couldn't play on the weekend. Or, I mean, he couldn't play on the day I wanted him to play. So just like, I want to get this out the... I mean, we were both like, we just want to get this out the way early. Because of just time not really being in our favor. So I didn't really spend a lot of time building. I wanted to use Jolt Spike, but I just didn't put enough time into making like a good enough Jolt Spike for him. So yeah, I had no idea what he was gonna bring, but I feel confident in bringing this Jolt Spike team. So let's get down to the match right now. So turn 1, I lead with Jolteon as he leads with T-Tar. So T-Tar lead against Jolteon isn't really in Jolteon's favor. Because T-Tar can do a variety of things. I don't know what he could do. Like, he could be Mixed, he could be Banded, even though Banded isn't that good right now. He could be DD. He could do whatever he wants with this Tar lead. So what I do here is I actually sub here to see what he goes for. So I sub here right off bat, as he can go for a crunch here. Now, goes for the crunch there. And now he goes for something crazy. He predicts my sub, but I go for a Thunderbolt. Now, why'd I go Thunderbolt on it? Why'd I go Thunderbolt? Why'd I go Thunderbolt here? I went Thunderbolt because I just wanted to see what else he'd do. That's it. I just wanted to see what else he'd do. I did not expect Focus Punch at all. And he didn't expect me to Thunderbolt either. That's what he told me after the match. He thought I'd actually sub here too. Which, again, I did think about. I was thinking about subbing here because if I did sub, then I also get to see what else the Tar would do. But it seemed like he was pretty inclined to just keep crunching. So yeah, Thunderbolt is still going to did a pretty good chunk to it, though. So we keep it low, but it's still not, like, enough. Also, he still gets up to, like, 70%. So after Thunderbolt here again, as he's at 34%, but Crunch is doing way too much damage to me. So if he gets hazards up if he has a hazard setter on his team, then just 2 spikes down will break my Jolteon. So at this point, I'm still trying to figure okay, what can I do against the Tar? Do I either just keep Thunderbolting, or do I just like pass out here and go into something else? So he's gonna get back to 40. I get to 36, but I pass here as I go Suicune, and he goes for the crunch again. Now, I do think this could have been prevented a lot earlier. I think I should have passed like turn 1, if anything. I think passing like early on might have been a little bit better for me. Granted, again, the style of team I'm using right now is Jolt Spike. So with Jolt Spike, you have to be very aggro with it, and you have to get your spikes up very early. But I did not take that into account when playing against Mess. So with the crunch coming down on my Suicune, judging by how much I did, that's 25%. So he definitely has some decent special attack investment. Also, he probably has a lot of attack investment to go for Focus Punch for free right there. On the Jolteon. So he felt like, in case I did sub or pass, he still had a lot of initiative going with him. So he felt pretty inclined to go for crunch anyway, in case I wanted to stay in or whatever. So again, the crunch coming down doesn't really, still a lot, but he can just switch out here because he doesn't want to take a surf. He can still keep the Tar around for whatever. And I was very scared of this Tar. I didn't know what else it could do. Like when I saw Crunch and Focus Punch, I was just like, what is this Tar? I couldn't tell if it was mixed. I mean, it was mixed. It was definitely mixed. Crunch and Focus Punch. That definitely tells you're mixed. But I didn't know what else his other moves were. Like again, the kind of tars I'm used to seeing BKC tar, which is just like 4 attack tar, or I'm used to seeing Bandit, DD, even some variants of UD tar or some special tar. Um, so when I saw Focus Punch and Crunch together, I was just like, what is this? But he actually told me after the match that this was a Boatar. So Boatar is basically a variant of T-Tar that runs Substitute with it. So it runs Substitute, Crunch, Focus Punch, and then some coverage option, being like HP Grass, Thunder, or Fire Blast. Thunder more likely to deal with water types. As you know, Thunder plus Focus Punch is just like heavy. It's just heavy coverage already. So if I had known this knowledge before, then I could have deduced that his tar did not have Pursuit. But I did not realize that, and I actually had him on my team that does not like Pursuit at all. so playing around T-Tar was very nerve-wracking for me. I had no idea what to do against this T-Tar and what else it was capable of. So what I do here is I go for a Surf as he brings in the Celebi. So I did not expect Celebi to come in. I should have expected something to take the Surf, but Celebi was something I did not expect at all. So what I do here is, not realizing that he's actually faster than me, I go for a Calm Mind here. Or actually, I switch out. Never mind. So I switch out there as I see that he's faster than me. So the Celebi being faster than me is actually going to play a part, or is actually going to play a pretty big part in this match. The lead seed coming down on my Skarmory is actually pretty huge, because for one, it does weaken my Skarmory, but it also opens up another Mon on his team as he passes and brings in Fortress. I get the spike here. Now, turn 7, I'd say, even though it's very early in the match at this point, is probably the most important turn of this is the most important turn of this game. Again, talking about the style of my team, this team is Jolt Spike. So what I should be prioritizing is keeping spikes up and making sure that Mess can't remove them. So my way to really do that is to be aggressive against him. So what I should be doing, instead of letting Skarmory take damage, is that I should be going into a Mon that puts offensive pressure on him. So something like Suicune even, or something else on my team that can actually avoid Rapid Spin. And the Mon I'm talking about is actually a Gengar. I have a Gengar on this team. But he does not know that at this point. Or he didn't know that at this point. So I thought maybe he would try to play around it. That's what I'm thinking. Like I'm I'm kind of just like in my head when I play against anybody. I'm always like in my head, just like overthinking on what he could be doing. But Mess instead just decides to go for a spin, which was kind of obvious. The Skarmory versus Fortress matchup is always the matchup I really suck at, because I don't know what to do against Fortress. Like, Fortress is a Pokemon I don't really fight that much, in tournament play and even on ladder. And I mean, on ladder, it's pretty much like non-existent. You barely see Fortress on ladder. Even though ladder is a pretty bad example, because ladder doesn't really like replicate what's going on in tournament games. But again, from my experience of fighting Fortress, which again I've only fought like maybe, I'd probably say I fought Fortress at least like 10 times, which is not that much. It's not that much at all. Compared to like something like Skarmory, which I've have a lot of experience fighting against. But when I fight Fortress, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do against it. Like, do I just switch out? Do I just let him spin? Do I still try to spike up? Like, this is the same kind of situation that happened when I played against Solwyn. Like, I literally didn't know what to do against the Fortress. I was just like, do I keep drill pecking it? Like, do I just phase it out? Like, what do I do? And actually, funny enough, my Skarmory does have Roar on this, but I really had no idea what to do against this Fortress. So I'm in a weird spot. I'm leech seeded because of the Celebi, and he's getting recovery off. He's also taunted, so he can't spike. So his only play is to just keep spinning. So what I should have done the turn before, honestly, was to switch out. But I made a misclick. I taunted. Granted, granted, let's again going back to turn 7 right here. The baton pass on the spike and the fortress. Next turn I should have went hard Gengar. Should have went hard Gengar there, because that would immediately let him know that, one, I have Fire Punch most likely, and two, whatever you have to take on Gengar, you better bring it in, because Gengar puts on immediate pressure against his team. And again, you guys are gonna see like what else Mess has on his team right here. But again, like I said, Fortress versus Skarmory is not a favorable matchup for me, and especially because of Leech Seed. So I have to switch out as he gets the spike up. So that is horrible. That is horrible. If I stayed in again, he would have brought me down to 50%, and then I would have had a hard time dealing with whatever else he had. So yeah, that spike down is horrible, and I can't spin it away either. So yeah, it's T-Tar versus Fortress, which is not very favorable for me. Or I mean, it's not really favorable for Mess, because he doesn't know what kind of tar I am. He could predict me to be like some mixed tar or something like that. But since he knows his Jolt Spike, he was probably expecting to be like some kind of some kind of physical tar, which again he was not wrong about. So Spike is down there, and now I go for a Rock Slide. This was horrible. This was a bad play. This was a very shitty play. Focus Punch, if anything, was probably the better option for me to make, but I did not think about it at all. I just was not thinking about it at all. It did not cross my mind to go for Focus Punch, because let me show you the damage on Pert versus Tar. So let's see. So T-Tar. So Bantar versus Swampert. If we look at the calc, Bantar does 54 to 63% to defensive Pert. Now, honestly, that is not bad damage at all. That is very good damage. Because, for one, it forces him to either protect, or it forces him to just attack me. Which, I mean, in his position, I think he has to attack me. But again, just raw damage on Pert is just very good. Because that removes the tar wall. Literally, that removes the tar wall if I just Focus Punch there. Because, as you guys saw, Rock Slide did 20%. So Focus Punch doing a little over 50% definitely would have been in my favor. Now if he stayed with Fortress and kept spiking, then that would have been very, very weird for me too. Fortress versus defensive or versus Banded Tar does not really work in my favor. It doesn't really work in my favor. It doesn't really do a lot. I mean, Rock Slide's still a lot though, but Focus Punch, he could just get up like 3 layers, and then I'm kind of fucked. Like, I'm kind of just messed up at that point, because pretty sure I think he had a phaser, and I think it was the Pert. Actually, I don't think the Pert was phasing. I think it might have been a mono Pert, but no, it wasn't mono Pert. It was a 3-attack Pert with protect. So pretty much like your standard defensive Pert, to be the wall, of course. But yeah, Rock Slide was not the play here. Focus Punch covered everything, and honestly, his team didn't really have a good Focus Punch switching at all, besides maybe Celebi at best. Which by the way, his Celebi was a very, very defensive Celebi, that I have to mention. Let's assume, well, he wasn't this at all, but let's assume he was something like this. Focus Punch does 25 to 29%, so that's still like decent, but like not like a lot. Still something though. But yeah, again, like I'm saying, Focus Punch was the better option to go for, but I didn't make the play. So because of that, I have to get punished here, and I have to let Skarmory take the hit. So Pump is going to do a shit ton to me, and I managed to get at least 1 spike up before I die. So I get the 1 spike. So now I have 1 spike, as he has 1 spike on me, but now I have to sack my Skarmory, which isn't really that great, because I lose a phaser, and a mon that could phase was actually pretty beneficial for me, but kind of missed out on that. So yeah. There goes my Skarmory there. So now I bring in the Gengar, which is honestly bad. I think I should have went back into Suicune, or I should have went Jolteon. Which I mean might have helped me, but it would have just been right back to Celebi. But I think even then that still would have been beneficial for me. But yeah, this kind of just shows him that I have a grass move. So he's gonna switch out, and he'll go into the mon that counters me completely. And it's not T-Tar. It's Umbreon. It's Umbreon. I go Fire Punch in case he wanted to predict the grass move and go in the Fortress or go into Celebi, but he says, nah, I got Umbreon. And this is where the game pretty much just goes away. It just ends for me. Well, it ended early in the match, like I already said, but it really ended right here with the Umbreon pursuing my Gengar. With that happening, I can't really do much. I go for the mash, as he's going to go for that and protect with the Umbreon. Yeah, he goes into the Moltres here, as Moltres can take on every hit. I go for the mash. I do a lot to it. No +1, but it's okay. I have to just sack the Metagross and let it get boomed. So I boom here, and I get rid of the Moltres, but it doesn't really help me because, again, the combination of his darks just kind of overwhelms Gengar in general. So not much I could do. And also Metagross was just horrible against him. It didn't do anything. Like his whole team was my Metagross. So yeah. Because this Metagross was actually agility Metagross. So I didn't have Rock Slide or anything to deal with Moltres effectively. And Fortress takes on every hit. Celebi takes every hit, but then again, I can still like try to fish for some +1 boost. And Pert is defensive, so. And Umbreon can actually get worn down pretty quickly, but not Pert at all. So yeah, Metagross gets walled by everything, so it really did nothing here. Goes into Pert now to bring in Suicune, and again I had to take the spike damage, but he doesn't really care about the sand because he's Pert. I go for a Calm Mind here as he brings in Celebi. And now I try to go for an Ice Beam to try and keep the Celebi low enough. But again, if I did EV Suicune better, I had a chance to outspeed his Celebi, but did not. And, you know, he's faster than me. I get the Ice Beam off. But because of the lead seed and the fact he also has recovery, he's able to circumvent all that damage. And all I can do is just keep Ice Beaming and try and fish for a freeze or something. So I don't get either of that. And he's pretty much going to be back to full because of the recovery. So yeah, he's pretty much back at 100. I go for Ice Beam. It does 48%, and he'll be right back up to like almost 70%, or a little over, yeah, almost 70 from that. So he goes Fortress as I go for a Surf. I went Surf as a last ditch effort. Like I didn't really have anything else to go for, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll just Surf here at this point. So Surf comes down. This is a really good chunk, but it's pretty much going to be a roll now because of Leech Seed and the lefties. I go for Roar in case he switched, but why would he switch? Like, what would he gain if he switched? He really gained nothing if he switched, so it just made the most sense for him to stay in here. Because, for one, Mess felt very confident that Surf would not kill him. And two, because he told me this after the match, he felt very confident Surf wouldn't kill. Now I just want to do some calcing. Let's check Suicune. So Suicune versus defensive OU non-Calm Mind. What the hell? Oh, that's like some GSE shit. Hold on, let me see Suicune. So Suicune, sub Calm Mind. Okay, so sub Calm Mind. Sub Calm Mind also would have been good against him too. Yeah, versus Fortress. So let's look at the damage. So Fortress, OU standard. Surf does 35 to 41%. Unfortunately, my Suicune was 156 in special attack. Granted, it's still like a lot, but it's not like crazy enough. Now if we go +1, so let's look at the damage. Okay, so +1, with Surf, I still have a decent shot to kill him. It's still decent. It's not a bad roll. If we divide that number, it's around like 40. It's about 45%. So almost 45%. A little less than 45. Probably like closer to 43, 44, somewhere around there. But it's still a decent percent to where Surf would have killed. So in hindsight, Surf was the right play. But I was stupid and I wanted to face things. So I died. And that's going to be the end of the game because I get walled by Umbreon now. Because I go Tar, I go for a Focus Punch, and that's pretty much that. I could Rock Slide, but like, what else do I really get? Like, what do I gain? The Pert just wins anyway. So that's going to be the game. Oh, wait, hold up. See, that's going to be the game. I just keep shooting, and then I just forfeit, and that's going to be the game. Yeah. There was a lot I actually, like, picked up from this match. There was a lot I picked up from this match. I do think I should have been very aggro against Mess. What the fuck? Okay, I should have been very aggro against Mess. Like, I should have prioritized Gengar a lot sooner here, because like I said, Gengar put the most amount of pressure on him, barring Umbreon. And of course, how would I expect him to have an Umbreon? How could I expect? That's kind of funny. Brought evolutions. But yeah, like I said, how could I expect him to bring Umbreon? That was never a thought in my mind. um, but yeah, he played it very well. I played it terribly. I played terribly. This is the worst game I played for ADV. For like so far in this like definitely this was my worst match for the Premier League. Like the Pass EG game was a lot closer than this, but this is just a straight up destruction. I literally just fucked up. Like I got, it was a combination of me getting nervous and also a combination of just me playing like badly. Just playing badly. Should have prioritized the spikes early. Should have been able to, like, you know, keep those spikes up and just pressure him as much as possible. Like that's what Jolt Spike does. It's a pressuring playstyle. It's a very offensive pressuring playstyle. So there were a lot of things I could have done differently. So many things I could have done differently here. But it is what it is. It is what it is. You gotta live and learn. And I learned a lot from this. So Suicune, definitely the mons that had a lot more potential in this match were definitely Suicune and Gengar. Those two had a lot of potential. Metagross did shit here, so like it literally did shit. I had to boom with it to get something out of it, which is pretty sad. But like again, I didn't prepare enough for him. Didn't have enough prep time to really, you know, figure out what I wanted to do against Mess. But yeah, and it was a tough game. But a lot of things could have went differently. Suicune coming in early might have changed a lot here, because again, Suicune kind of deals with them very well. So if I did prioritize Suicune, then maybe things would have went differently in my favor. Also, Roar didn't really help me that much. I do think Roar on Skarmory was a lot better for me, and I think Sub might have been better for Suicune. Or maybe even going like a 3 attack Calm Mind. That could have worked as well. To kind of hammer through Swampert too with HP Grass. I don't know. I do think that this game could have been different had I prepared better for it and just made more justified plays. But still, Mess is the GOAT. Mess is a good player. Good player. And definitely, we talked a lot about this match too afterwards. Just like discussing like how we both gonna play it differently around each other. And again, Mess did agree with me that Suicune was a very threatening mon to his team, and the fact he was able to pretty much like deal with it right off the bat with the lead seed and everything, kind of, you know, like helped him. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about my matches. I know I probably talked for like 2 hours, but I really wanted to analyze like everything as best as possible. Even though I might just be like running around the bush when I'm talking about these teams, but or talking about my games, but seriously, I want to talk about everything. But yeah, again, all my opponents played well. Also, I forgot to mention that Mess was a player from the legendary Ledians. I think that was the name of the team. But yeah, so I don't remember who moved on to the semifinals, but it wasn't us. Not only because of my game, but because of some other games that we had, that we did not end up making it to the finals. But honestly, everybody on the team pulled their own weight. They all did well, respectively. So shout out to my team. You guys all played like very well throughout your matches. I try my best to watch as many matches as I can for my team, and I gotta say they all did well, or they all did the best they could to the best of their abilities. So yeah, if JamVad does have another Premier League, I would not mind coming back. Definitely, I would not mind coming back. It was a very fun experience. Again, learning from other players and just like um playing other old gens. Just felt pretty good. I hope that he actually adds RBY and GSC. That would be very fun. I actually hope he does add that, but I feel like it's gonna have to come down to what his Discord wants. If they actually want to see RBY and GSC, I wouldn't mind it. I enjoy those metagames too a lot. But definitely ADV is my main. Um, but yeah, again, let me know what you guys thought about my matches. Did you think I could have played them better? Do you think I got very lucky and that I should have lost those games? Or do you think that despite all the hacks, I still managed to break? I still managed to still play even though you know like the game was heavily in my favor due to the hacks. But I feel, but yeah, I want to know what you guys think like about everything in general. Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, so again, I talked for like 2 hours, but hope you guys enjoyed my talk about these games. But if you did, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, join my Discord Bushido gang, and subscribe for some more content on the channel. Also, follow me on my Pokemon and check out my Smokeground profile. All those links will be down in the description. So yeah, that'll be that, guys. Be safe, wash your hands, and peace out.